welcome to Scrappin with Sheri. I wanted to do a page layout today using the Birthday Bonanza collection, and some of you have asked at various points in times how I organize my papers and embellishments and everything when I get them. Now I use the Power Project folders when I initially get a collection. I just go ahead and make a label to go inside there, and I put the mats, the embellishments, the stickers into this. The paper packs slide into the center section, and if I go ahead and make papers or pages ahead of time, I'll slide them in there as well. I made a couple of borders, so they are in this chop pocket, but I keep all of my scraps in this Power Project folder until I get down to just a few sheets left. And with this particular collection, once I get a few sheets left, I would probably put them into the colors they belong with, except this one I would very likely use for birthdays or celebrations. So I would probably put it in my birthday folder for down the road. And I do have folders based on themes, so that would be an easy place to put that. Now I've gone ahead and pulled several papers because I want to use the Creative Memories project recipe for the Birthday Bonanza. And the project recipes are great. I have not been offering them to my customers necessarily, and that's something that I plan to start doing in the near future, because the pages are really cute when they're done, and the project recipes offer them step by step. Now, customers do not have access to the project recipes, but they're on the advisor websites, and advisors can access those and send them to you. So if you don't have an advisor who sends you the project recipes, let me know and I'll try to email that to you. So it tells me on the project recipe to use 2 sheets of navy cardstock for my background. And what you're going to see as we do this is I don't necessarily follow the cutting guides exactly. I always choose bits and pieces that I really like, and then the rest I just kind of wing it. So on the cutting guides, everyone has a punch then cut, punch then cut, and you're cutting at 1 1/8 after you punch. So let's do our punches first. And the reason I'm not doing that right, I'm not doing it exactly as they suggested, is because I had leftovers of these 2 pieces that I want to go ahead and use up. Now they did use the confetti punch, the new punch, and that's what I want to do as well. So I've got my border maker. Here's the tray that my paper is going to fit in. Are we feeling brave enough to try 2 pieces at a time? Let's just see. I know I don't have a lot of this left over, but we can make our work less this way. Now I'm using the confetti punch. Remember, when you put your border punches in, you leave the prongs sticking out the front. If you put it in the other way, it is often very difficult to get it back out. Ask me why I know that. Okay, on this thinner designer paper, 2 is working really well. So I'm going to punch and then cut, because that's what the directions told me to do. And we're cutting this at 1 1/8. Now there's your 1 inch mark. 1/8 is a little short line and 1 more line over. So it's actually 2 little lines over. And that 1 1/8 is going to give me that nice thin border on that. And we need 2 of each color. So I'm going to go ahead and do this again. And will our green work? You know what? Our green is too far over to be caught by the magnet. So we have a hack for that. So when your paper is too narrow to be caught by the magnet when you close this down, you can use Post-it notes. And I stick the sticky side onto my paper. And you just use those Post-it notes. I usually use about 3 of them, just because I feel like that gives me a good anchor point, I guess. And I'm sticking those to the piece of paper that I'm about to cut. And then I've got these flaps hanging out here that will stick to the magnetic area to help hold that paper as we cut. Now, I'm probably going to regret cutting 2 at a time when I'm using Post-it notes, but I'm going to give it a shot. and it actually worked. Now, this time, instead of throwing all of my scraps into the garbage can immediately, I'm just sliding those up to the top edge because some of those I think we're going to be able to use in our layout. Now, here we need to pull the Post-it notes off. And remember, we're cutting these at 1 1/8. 1 1/8. I'm going to cut those separately since this is such a thin piece right here. I don't want to risk messing it up and not having enough paper to do the other border with. 1 1/8 on both of those. And then because our project recipe shows 3 of those, we're going to go ahead and cut the blue as well. And the blue is turned sideways on here, and I really like that look. So we're going to do that just the same. Now, if I had scraps of this blue, I would probably go ahead and do both scraps at the same time. But this is a piece of paper I have not used yet, so I don't have any scraps. So I'll just do the punch and cut on this as normal. 1 1/8. All right, let's do one more of those. Now, this particular project recipe uses several different tools, and the border maker system is one, the 12-inch trimmer is one, but then we're also going to be making some circles for this, and there are a couple of different ways to do that. Get that cut at 1 1/8. So all of the cutting is done with the border maker system at this point. So if we go back to the project recipe, you can see there are lots of little circles on here. 2 of the circles are designed to have photos in them, and it says a 4x4 photo on here. So on our cutting guide, those are 4.5-inch circles. I am going to use those 4.5-inch circles because I know for one of the layouts I have coming up, I want 2 pictures in circles. So instead of doing that with the custom cutting system, I'm going to pull out my circle cutter. And I really like the circle cutter when you're cutting specific sizes and you don't have to be exact on where the cuts are made. Because if I'm going to 4.5, there are actually 4 little notches in between the 4 and the 5. So all I have to do is go in between those 2 middle notches and then tighten this white handle back up, and I'm ready to cut. Now, they cut them on pink and green, and I like that look. I don't have any more scraps of that, so let me see what I've got that we could cut it on. This is 1, 2, 3. That's a little more than 4. It might work on that. This one is plenty big enough. So I can cut it out of this pink mat. This is one of the photo mats from the collection. And again, because I've already used bits and pieces, I'm just trying to use up more of my scraps. Now, I'm not great with this and centering up exactly right. A lot of other advisors are really good at that, and they have great videos showing that. But I'm just going to give it a whirl. Now look, we got the top edge perfectly. The bottom edge is off a little bit, but we can fix that. That's going to mean that this one is going to be much harder to do. And in fact, it's not even going to fit exactly because it's just a little bit too small. So let's look and see if I have another mat that we could use for the green. So I did have this other mat, the green, that I'm going to use. And remember, I cut a little edge off of this, but that's not going to be a big deal. And I'm certainly not throwing that away because we've got a plan for that in just a few minutes. So I'm kind of centering this, specifically top to bottom. And you do have to use your mat to cut this. Don't start cutting on your table and wreck some of your supplies. And here again, I went off on the bottom, but we're fine with that. It's going to work just perfectly. Now, instead of using the custom cutting system, because I had some other things handier, and I pulled out bits and pieces of mats I had left over. If you'll look, they have lots of different sizes of little circles on here, and I think those are absolutely adorable. But instead of using the custom cutting system, I'm going to use my circle punches. Now, I have the newest Creative Memories circle punch, and when I'm looking at theirs, they did a pink mat over here, and then they did a large green and a large blue. So I'm going to go back with my scraps and my mats. That's what I'm using for this because I had leftovers, and that brings in a lot more pattern, which I also like. And there's a couple of those. They pulled out a smaller pink one, and I can use my old Creative Memory circle punches to do the smaller ones. That's the good thing about keeping some of these older tools. And then they also show a circle made out of the confetti, and that's the back side of this blue that I used before. So I am going to make a medium-sized circle using the confetti. And I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of those because I'm going to carry the designs top to bottom on both sides. So we've got our green mat that's going on the opposite side. And if we look at that, we've got a larger green circle. Let's see if we can get it out of this scrap right here. And again, if it's off just a touch, that's an easy place to embellish. So don't stress over it if it's off just a little bit. All right, so we've got that green, and look, we've about used that up, haven't we? We need a blue, and I'm going to do this in a little bit smaller size. My old circle punch has a problem right here on this corner. I have a hard time getting the paper into it, especially if it's thick like one of these mats. Once I get it in, it works fine, but it's a little hard to get to sometimes. And then I'm going to punch a pink to go on this side. Now we could punch all other kind of colors. We could bring in lots of different colors. And I do think I want a little bit of yellow. And I'm going to punch that in that medium-sized circle just so I can get two of them out of this little scrap I have left over. And that brings us in a little yellow as well. So we've wiped out several little scraps. That's a good thing. And now we're ready to start assembling our page. So I mentioned to you that the directions call for a navy blue background, and that's what I'm going to go with. And they also show just lining up your border punches, boom, boom, boom. So let's do that. And there's not really an up or down to this. We've got the green, we've got the pink, we've got the blue. And then here again, we've got the green, we've got the pink, we've got the blue. And these will need to be put on with repositionable tape. And you can see that in the Creative Memories layout, they've also got all your photo mats pre-cut. I am not going to do that, again, because I'm using scraps to actually make my design. I didn't have full sheets for the full cutting guide. But I'm also not sure what colors I want to mat in. We had a double birthday party for my two daughters-in-law. Both my son's wives have August birthdays. And in doing that party together, one's favorite color is pink, one's favorite color is green. So that worked out really well for me in looking at this layout. Now, you see I've got that straight edge there. But look how easy it is to put a couple of circles over that and cover up that mistake. And here again, I've got the pictures developed, but I'm just not quite ready to do them yet. So I'm probably not going to stick this until I pull the pictures out and start looking at it a little more closely. Now here again, I've got that edge that's not good, but I could actually mat a picture and put it here as they have on the Creative Memories layout. And then we can keep our little circles going down the sides and underneath over here. Now, because I used the mats, I have a lot of different patterns than the original layout had. And I kind of like that. I like having some different things on there. But that gives us room for photo here, photos here and here, and then there. Now, I'll go ahead and finish out this page. You'll see the pictures of how my layout came out, either before or after this video, or both, depending on how it gets edited. So, there's the layout for right now, but let's see how we want to finish it out. Now, I mentioned to you earlier in the video that we were going to save all of our little confetti pieces because I had an idea for that. And then I signed off and forgot to show you that idea. But we need to make a couple of little party hats. Now, this was not my original idea. Debbie Martin did this. I don't know when it was. It's been a while back. But she did it as part of a New Year's layout and did little party hats for New Year's. So I wanted to show you how to do those. And again, I'm using some of my leftover matting cards that I had. I already did a blue one, but I'm going to do a green one too. And I just used my big circle punch, and I've cut my circle. And I'm going to pull my personal trimmer, and I'm just going to create a little triangle out of this. So I've cut one straight edge, and then I'm just lining up the little point of one of those edges and rotating this around to make a little hat. And that's kind of what it looks like. Now, those pieces are leftovers, but this confetti that we had, look how cute that is. Let me just pull a few pieces of these to show you what it looks like. I love that swirly twirly. I think I'll pull a swirly twirly for that one as well. But these are going to make the little fun tops of our little party hat. There we go. So we've got all swirly twirlies, which I think are really cute. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to use my regular tape on the back of this. And I'm just going to put that regular tape right up near the top. Now, you could use the repositionable as well, but to me, the regular is pretty easy for this because I've got a lot of tape on there, and I can just lay my hat down on those cute little pieces and have them stick to it. Now, how adorable is that? I could add this up here. I could add it down here with a sticker title thing, a title block, a sticker title thing. That's a good term for that. But I'm going to do that one more time. And I'm using my regular tape. I put it right up in the little top corner. And I'm just going to lay these down. Hey, do we want a swirly twirly there too? I really love these little confetti pieces. How cute are they? And I'm going to just stick my little hat to those confetti pieces to lift them up. And, you know, that magic number of 3. That's really cute. So, I've made a couple of little party hats to go with it now. And if I just wanted to, once I get all of the pictures and things on there, I could go back and add some of these cute little stars, some of the dots. Yeah, it will be very time consuming, but we have this cute little lifter stick that was one of our bonuses at one point in time. And you could use the lifter stick, put your tape on there. Let's just get some repo tape and try this out. The lifter stick has a little sticky edge, and I can just pop that down, use my fingernail, and lay it down. So that even makes all these little bitty pieces work so much easier. That's the lifter stick. It was part of a promo where you purchased so much and got the lifter stick too. So I'm keeping all this confetti to add to these pages once the pictures are on there. So isn't that a fun idea? Look at that cute little party hat that we've got going with the confetti sticking out. And until next time, happy scrapping.